the happenings in the country, a retired Anglican priest with the Diocese of Abuja Anglican Communion speak on the need to be truthful. Mrs. Gloria Kwashi receives government officials at Zambiri Child Care Development Center. A federal high court sitting in Abuja adjourns trial of Showore Bakari till April. Hello, welcome to the News on the Hours, brought to you from the Advent Cable Network, ACNNTV. I am Rachel Igwin. The federal government and those in the position of powers have been called on to be truthful to Nigerians on the happenings in the country and to also deal with the issues facing the country. This call was made by an elder statesman, also a retired priest with the Diocese of Abuja, Venerable Obioma Onwuzurumba, in an interview with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu. According to him, for the country to progress, the government should have a roundtable discussion with those who feel they have been denied justice and marginalized.
Let me first of all say that we need to be sincere. We need to tell ourselves the truth. The thing about Nigeria, I think, is that we're not telling ourselves the truth, both adults and even the upcoming. Sometimes, like when I talk about history to our young people, we're not even ready to let our people know what the truth is, because that's the starting point. Know what our problems are, know what our differences are, and objectively and boldly face them with love. For those of us who know what love is, issues can be resolved. We can see our differences. Of course, all over the world, people have differences. We're all unique. And Nigeria is not an exception. But where you try to sweep things under the carpet or we try to play ostrich, we would move nowhere. So mine is, let's our elders, whether they are from the north or south, let's tell ourselves the truth. Let's peacefully come to a roundtable conference, discuss these issues, find a negotiable solution. Because in this world of ours, you may never find a perfect solution to anything, but there could be a better way of getting about it. Then we'll lessen all this stress, and agony that has bedeviled our country.
As part of the assessment by the Ministry of Education, our news correspondent Nzubechi Frank reported that government team from the Education Resource Center, JERS, were in Zambiri Child Care Development Center, a school run by the wife of the Archbishop and Bishop of Just Diocese Anglican Communion, Dr. Mrs. Gloria Kwashi, who was delighted to have the officials and took them around for their assessment. Meanwhile, the officials were received and welcomed later by the Bishop, His Grace the Most Reverend Benjamin Kwashi. Reacting after the assessment, the officials were overwhelmed with the structures and facilities they saw and could not believe that such school is totally free, including their meals, uniforms and books. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has adjourned the trial of the convener of Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Showore, and his co-defendant, Olawale Bakari. Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu adjourned the trial until April 1st and 2nd in a ruling, following the objection raised by the counsel to the defendant, Femi Falana. Falana has challenged the testimony of the first witness presented by the prosecution for giving evidence outside his written statement. But the prosecutor, Kayode Halilu, insisted that he served a summary of the witness statement on the defendant's counsel and the witness. After listening to both counsels, the trial judge ruled that witness cannot be allowed to depose to a 4-paragraph statement and give a 10-page of evidence. She subsequently adjourned the trial to enable the prosecutor to produce the witness statement. As reactions continue to trail in on the banishment and detention of former Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi, Apostle Johnson Suleiman of Omega Fire Ministries have also reacted to the dethronement and subsequent detention of former Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi. According to Suleiman, though the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, has the power to dethrone Sanusi, he has no right to detain the former emir. Recall that the Ganduje-led state government had deposed Sanusi as emir of Kano for what it termed disrespect of authorities. Following his sack, the Ganduje-led government had named one of the sons of the late Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero, Aminu Ado Bayero, as the 15th Fulani Emir of the state. Reacting, Apostle Suleiman in a tweet insisted that disrespecting a governor was not a criminal offense. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Governor, Nasser El-Rufai, has approved the appointment of former Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, into the board of Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, Kadipa. This appointment came barely 24 hours after he was dethroned by the Kano state government for disobeying lawful authorities. However, a statement by El-Rufai's special advisor on media and publicity, Muyiwa Dekeye, said the governor approved Sanusi's appointment while constituting the board of Kadipa. And still to come after the commercial break, Parliament passes reforms allowing Putin to run another 2 terms. Please stay tuned.
Why do we fall ill? Is it possible to stay without falling ill? Is God interested in our health? Can we get access to cheaper health anywhere? Do you want tips on how to stay healthy? Then join me, Angela Weze, on Health Watch every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. with repeat broadcasts on Thursday at 2 p.m. and Saturday at 1:30 p.m. as health experts provide answers to your questions on how to remain healthy physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually here on. God bless you.
You are welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. And to be up to date with our news and other programs, download the VM Africa app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to the international scene. Outrage and condemnation are running high in Pakistan's Christian communities following the brutal murder of a 22-year-old young Christian in Kashore district in Punjab province. Salim Mashur was attacked whilst taking a bath in a tube whirlpool belonging to an influential local Muslim landlord, accusing him of polluting the pool water. His killers tortured him brutally, causing multiple fractures and internal and external injuries all over his body. The murderers kept him for about 3 days before returning the body to his family. Taken to a hospital in Lahore, Salim succumbed to death on 28 February after 3 agonizing days. Several Christians and Muslim religious leaders met in Lahore to address the issue and plan their action, the Vatican's Fire News Agency reported. The Bishop Azad Mashal declared he will file a first information report against the criminals and will not step back until the perpetrators receive the appropriate punishments. The British MP Nadine Dorries, a minister in the health department, has confirmed a statement that she tested positive for coronavirus and have been self-isolating at home. Dorries, who helped craft the legislation to fight the bug, is the first British politician to be diagnosed with COVID-19, raising immediate concern about whether she had spread the infection. Times reported that she had been in touch with hundreds of people, including Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Health officials are now trying to trace where she contracted the virus and who she has been in contact with. She felt unwell on Friday last week while signing the document that declared coronavirus a notifiable disease, meaning companies could obtain insurance cover. The shock news is likely to increase calls to suspend Parliament, despite the governor's reluctance to do so in the middle of a health crisis. 6 people have died in Britain from the virus, with 373 confirmed cases. Italians braced for a second day of national lockdown after a sharp spike in coronavirus-related deaths, as New York deployed the National Guard to contain a disease that has sown worldwide panic. Europe's hardest hit country said the death toll from the COVID-19 virus had risen by a third to 631, with the surging epidemic playing havoc with global sporting, cultural and political events. While authorities in China, where the outbreak began, have declared it basically curbed, cases are multiplying around the world, sparking panic buying in shops and wild swings on financial markets. Its seemingly relentless march has now claimed its first victim in Central America, with a 64-year-old man dying in Panama. Russia's lower house has passed constitutional reforms in their final reading that include the possibility of President Vladimir Putin extending his rule for another 2 terms. A total of 383 states Duma lawmakers voted in favor of the package of constitutional amendments, with 43 abstentions and none against. The measures must now be approved by the Upper House Federation Council and be put to a public vote scheduled for April 22nd. Putin announced the package of reforms in January, then repeatedly denied they were meant to extend his grip on power as he approaches the end of his 4th and final presidential term in 2024. However, another amendment was introduced that will reset presidential terms, making it possible for Putin to run again. And now to sports stories. Arsenal's game at Manchester City has been postponed after players from the London club were quarantined, making it the first Premier League football fixtures to be called off because of coronavirus. After Arsenal said players and 4 staff had been isolated at their homes after coming into contact with the owner of Greek club Olympiacos, Vangelis Marinakis, who has since tested positive for COVID-19. The first postponement in the Premier League, which has a huge worldwide following, widespread disruption to football and other sports across the globe. Arsenal were knocked out of the Europa League by Olympiacos on February 27. Marinakis, owner of the Greek club and English side Nottingham Forest, announced that he had tested positive for the coronavirus. But Arsenal said the players and staff who met Marinakis after the game at the Emirates Stadium will return to work on Friday ahead of Saturday's trip to Brighton. The Premier League called the move a precautionary measure and said there was no plans to postpone any other games, as these postponements could also frustrate Premier League leaders Liverpool, as a defeat for Manchester City would have taken Liverpool to the brink of their first top-flight title in 30 years. Jose Mourinho believes no team in the world will be able to cope with the injuries Tottenham have had to endure, saying Tottenham leaped out of the Champions League as they were beaten 3-0 by RB Leipzig in the second leg of their Champions League last 16 tie. Errors from Hugo Lloris helped Marcel Sabitzer put Leipzig in command with a first-half double before substitute Emil Forsberg rounded off a 4-0 aggregate triumph late on.
That can prepare the future in a better way. Of course, there is nobody to blame when it looks like in every match we have a traumatic injury, and every traumatic injury that ends with month and month. So just before the first game against Leipzig, we lost Son 2 days before. We come to the second game, we lost Bergwijn before, and I don't want to speak about the ones that we lost so long ago. And that's the history of this season. This season started with, of course, problems, and you look to the results, and you look that when I arrived, the position that we were in the table.
And that's it on the news and the as brought to you from the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNNTV. I am Rachel Iguni.